Today, we're going to be talking all about cutting the cord. No, I'm not referring to your cable subscription. I'm talking about truly mobile, wireless filmmaking and video production using tablets, phones, and smart devices. And we've called in the big guns to help us figure out how you can go mobile. Joining us on the show today is none other than Dave Basolto, former Hollywood producer and now full-time mobile filmmaking entrepreneur and impresario and inventor of the Iographer. And if you don't know what that is, don't worry. Dave will be happy to inform you what that is. So, in addition to that, Dave and I will be diving in deep on your cord cutting options, as well as discussing his new book, which just came out, Life Camera Action. And then at the end of the show, I'm going to cover a hands-on tutorial on how you can set up Wirecast Cam, our wireless camera app for Wirecast, which basically turns your smartphone or iOS device into a Wi-Fi camera, basically putting the proof in the pudding, which we like to do here on the show. And we also have some free giveaways, so stick around. It's going to be a great show, and I can't wait to get started. So I'll see you after these opening credits. Welcome to another episode of Wirecast Live, the best show about live and wirecasting live. So, as I said during the lead-in, we have an awesome show for you today. But before we get into it, we do have some exciting announcements I want to cover. Prizes and giveaways. There's going to be some very cool opportunities for you to win free stuff. So first, if you want to win a free Wirecast gear, seriously, a free Wirecast gear, that's like a $5,000 box, our friends over at PTZ Optics are giving one away next Friday, February 24th, live on their show. So head over to ptzoptics.com/wirecast-gear-giveaway. We should have a URL we can throw up on the screen in a little bit if you're curious about that. Again, ptzoptics.com/wirecast-gear-giveaway to enter the contest. There's a bunch of things you can do to improve your chances of winning. You only have 8 days left, so you should do it now. And there, I think at this point, are about 500 entries, or just below 500 entries. So you've got pretty good odds of winning this thing. I'll be joining them live on their show next Friday to help with the giveaway. So definitely check that out. We also have a special giveaway for you on this show. You can win an Iographer bundle. Dave from Iographer has hooked us up with a prize giveaway, and we will be giving that away. I will cover the details on how you can enter to win at the end of the show and when we're interviewing Dave. So stay tuned and watch that. It's going to be super easy to enter and to win. We will also be launching a new website very soon where you can get all the information about our live shows, upcoming guests, sign up to be notified when we're live, as well as see past shows that we've done. We'll be announcing when that is live soon, but in the meantime, you can get all the latest information about our upcoming shows, guests, webinars, events, and even trade shows at www.telestream.net/live events. So if you want to find out what's coming up, that's the best place to go for now. And that covers it for news and announcements. I think it's time to bring in our ringer, the mobile filmmaking expert, Dave Basolto. Dave has been everything from a college football player on track to go to the NFL, to a stockbroker, an actor, a filmmaker, a Hollywood producer, a high school teacher, and now an author and full-time entrepreneur. So this guy has led quite a life, and I'm super excited to sit down with him. We've worked with him for a couple years over the last few years since I started at Telestream, and I love everything about him and his company and what they're doing. So I couldn't be more happy to bring him on the show and to get into it and talk a little bit about the fascinating life that Dave has led. Dave, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm just writing down all the how can win all these things.
It's good. It's good. We're going to put hashtags out there on how you can win. But yeah, there's just so much stuff. And thank you again for being so generous to our viewers.
I am a river to my people. Famous line from Lawrence of Arabia, by the way. So I
It's
did not make that up.
no, it's true. You actually, I'm glad you brought up Lawrence of Arabia because you do actually mention it in your book here. And this, for those of you, is the awesome book. We will actually be giving away a copy of this, a signed copy. Oh, I see you have one too. Ah, you
I
know
have
this guy.
I have a couple.
You have a
Yeah.
couple. All right. So Dave, I've been enjoying this. I've flipped around it. I can't say I've read it cover to cover yet, but I have had time to sit down and just the first like 10, 20 pages, you cover like everything about how you got to where you are now and what your journey was. Can you tell
And what a
people?
see all this white hair? Exactly what the whole beginning of the book is about.
Yeah, yeah. So
Very
we were talking about if you could have ever predicted where
Wow.
you would end up if you were to go back in time and talk to your 18 yourself. Would he just be like, "Get out of here, man! You're not me. Who are you?"
He would have thought that he was all about playing pro football. That was his life. He loved it. He probably would never have gone to college had not been for for the idea of playing football. Had a football scholarship and had no idea what I wanted to do. I went from electrical engineering, which I maybe now would be a mogul in the computer world, but I got bored with that. Then I got into sports nutrition. And I got bored with that, and I was trying to find myself, and
Hmm.
finally just fell in love with business, and I just wanted to get into business. So no, so it's kind of like everything I've done in my life has led up to where I am today, which is really strange. From business to Hollywood to all those things have led me to become an entrepreneur at 51. I never thought I would do that. That I'd be on the road to retirement doing just something I like doing. And, teaching was certainly one of those jobs, my favorite job I ever had in my life before being the entrepreneur that I became. And I was just going to be an old teacher one day and be dead and have all my students line up and cry over me.
Just be a loved teacher. We all have those in our past, I hope, at least.
Like the movie is an old movie called Mr. Chips, and
Hmm.
that's who I wanted to be, Mr. Chips.
Yeah, and you, I mean, so it was quite a path, and I think it is interesting the way a lot of people, particularly I remember me when I was young and coming out of college, and trying to figure out what I wanted to do. There's you, I mean, so it was quite a path, and I think it is interesting the way a lot of people, particularly I remember me when I was young and coming out of college, and trying to figure out what I wanted to do. You kind of figure out over time that the journey is really in part the whole process. Like you're figuring things out and things happen to you and you don't figure out that was really important to you 10 years later that
Right.
happened. It's pretty interesting how it all kind of weaves together.
I have some of my students now that have graduated and gone on to go into the jobs they were planning on. When I was talking to them in high school, what are you going to do? Oh, I'm going to be an accountant like my dad. And lo and behold, they're an accountant. Or I'm going to go to medical school or this or that. And they had it just wired in. I was so flighty all over the place, just couldn't figure out what I wanted to do other than sports. And so it's just funny how everything's kind of come to this point now.
Yeah, I definitely subscribe more to the prior your path than the kind of locked in standards. But so let's talk a little bit about you went into Hollywood and that we could talk about that. That sounds like you have some really fun stories from those days. You worked with Mel Gibson. You worked with a lot of the people, actors on Sopranos, a lot of famous TV shows. You were in like Cheers and Mad About You, I think was another one.
Mad
Uh,
About You, yep, fun show.
Other stuff.
News radio, just lots of great people that I had the chance to work with.
Yeah, yeah. And you were saying, I think, in the book, and you guys can read all about this in there if you're curious about how Dave's path and stuff, but just that it was it was inconsistent. With the acting lifestyle, you just never knew when the next job would come in, and eventually you're offered a teaching position, and became a teacher. And tell me a little bit about how you came up, sort of what were you hired to do, and what did you end up focusing on by the end of your teaching career? And then we'll get into the biographer part.
I had been in the film, so I went from actor being discovered in New York as someone who could be an actor by a very famous casting director named Joy Todd. She says, "Hey, I was about 50 pounds lighter, big ponytail. I was the original man bun, but I had a ponytail." and they would ask me, "Do you want to be an extra in Rocky Five?" And I was like, "Yes, whatever that is, I want to do it." And fell in love with talking with Sylvester Stallone and all the cast, and I thought, this is why I want to be a famous actor now. Forget it. And I dove headfirst into coming back to LA and getting into Hollywood, and my parents almost had heart attacks and died, and because they thought, okay, he finally figured out he wants to be a Wall Street guy,
Right.
and what is he doing home now? And so I just did that for years, and at one point I got so sick of driving from Pasadena, California to Santa Monica, California, which in the real world should be about a 20-minute drive, but it takes about 2 hours to get back and forth because of traffic. And I would go out to these auditions and say like 2 or 3 words, and they'd nod, and then I'd come home. And I was like, this is ridiculous. You know what I want to be? I want to be that guy sitting in that chair that's got the cigar and telling everybody what to do. What does he do?
Right.
He's the producer. That's what I want to do. And so I raised $2.5 million in 45 days and did my first feature film. And that got me my producer credit, and I became a producer. And so I did that for years, and worked in Mel Gibson's company, Icon Entertainment, did a film called Wish You Were Dead with them, then went on to Lifetime Television, executive producing, and then I just got burned out. I was going to have a baby, and I wanted to, well, not me personally, but my wife, and I was going to hang out at home and just be the daddy, and had a little nest egg saved. And one of my close friends from high school asked me, who she was head of the counseling area, the ROP departments at San Marino High School in San Marino, California, which is a very affluent area. And they were my rival high school when I was growing up.
Oh, you went to work for the enemy.
So it's really funny because I'll tell you a funny story about this later. But so she says, "Hey, I know you're not doing a damn thing right now. Would you want to come and teach my kids media, because our media teacher is gone?" And I said, "What? I don't know." So I went over and had lunch with her. She took me to I met these kids, and I was like, this could be a really cool second life career for me, and I have a lot to tell them, and I have lots of experience. So I said, what, let's do it. So I got my teaching credential, and then just became this teacher and fell in love with teaching media arts, animation, field production, news team. We won awards, and it was just a wonderful, wonderful time. I mean, I had kids come in as freshmen who had no idea what they wanted to do, and by the end of leaving my class as a senior, went on to film school, and one of them actually works for Steven Spielberg's company, and just it was such a wonderful time to see these kids grow and learn and be able to tell stories, which I talk about in the book, is something I was not able to do as a child, because my dad would say, I said, "Dad, I want to be a filmmaker." And he'd say, "Really? Well, so you want a big camera, and you want to develop film, and how in the heck are you going to edit this?
Mm-hmm.
And then if you want to share it, you're going to take this big projector over to your friend's house, and that's how you share." And so it was the dark ages and very sad times.
And they kind of talked you out of it because it's sort of, too impossible.
Impossible. So I just said, "Okay, Dad, I'll go work in construction," which is what my dad did, and be just slave all summer. So all my dreams were gone. So anyway,
Builds character, though. Builds character.
It built big shoulders, let me tell you. And so what I did was just I fell in love with teaching, and while I was there, I had 130 students in my classes all day long, and eventually found a need for them to start using their iPhones and iPads because they had them in their pockets. We had 5 cameras in our classroom, and I wasn't getting enough work done, especially during football season, where we needed to have football games covered, and so all the cameras were busy, so the kids couldn't use them. And so anyway, so we started to make them use their iPhones and iPads, and they were getting way more stuff done, but it was always like shaky footage or vertical and no audio, and it drove me crazy. And I started to sketch out this really cool thing that I thought was cool. It was like a device that you'd be able to put handles and hold your iPhone or iPad, and then so I invented this little case, sketched it up, made a 3D print of it, and then one of my students said, "Hey, have you ever tried Kickstarter?" I had no idea what Kickstarter was, and next thing I know, I was on Kickstarter, and I'm in Forbes magazine, I'm in the Wall Street Journal, and this thing just blew out of control, and it's amazing so far. And so basically, it's just a little case that I made. We make them all here in California. Two handles on both sides because I thought you needed stability. Everyone makes cases that just like my Mophie case, which I
Right.
love. It's a case that holds it and it's got a battery, and that's great, but it still doesn't do that.
Right.
So I wanted to be able to put it on a tripod and have handles and have lights and microphones, and eventually turn it into something chaotically crazy like this with a 12 times telephoto lens
Nice.
and do some crazy stuff with it. And so the Iographer was born, and I tried to keep teaching and do both Iographer, entrepreneur, and teach.
Hmm.
And it got to a point my last year, I would tell the kids, okay, guys, we're going to do a short film this week, and here's the syllabus, and this is what you're doing. And I would say, okay, I'll be back in my office. See you later. I have a TA kind of run the class, and I'm like, okay, we got to this, or we're going to send stuff to Amazon. Anyway, it was insane.
Yeah, yeah, you couldn't do both. So
Couldn't
then
do it.
you retired back to do a couple years ago to do Iographer full time at that
Yep.
point. Do you think you'll ever go back to teaching?
It's funny because I'm not going to name the schools, but sometimes I'll go and demo at schools or talk to big programs, really famous programs, and I go, wow, I kind of know a lot more than these teachers know.
Hmm.
So I'm kind of like, I kind of want to go. If I did, it would be in the college level. I would
Hmm.
love to like kind of push it even further.
Yeah.
But I just don't see that because this is my next to having my wife and son, this is my next true love. I mean, it's like a baby I created, and I get to market it and evangelize it, and I just love going around the world and seeing how people are telling stories with their mobile devices, and
Mhm.
everyone's a storyteller, and I love it. And I don't know that I'll ever go back to just teaching like that.
Yeah, it's funny. You and I think, track with similar paths a little bit here because I was also in filmmaking, kind of destined planning for Hollywood, and then I went into teaching directly
Oh, I did
from
not
that.
know that.
Yeah, I was a teacher. I did media arts, media teaching, and now I'm full time evangelizing for similar related products, but here. And I still take a lot of those teaching skills and the pedagogical skills that I learned and trained in
Yeah,
right here into this job. And I really like doing it because I get to work with people all day long and help them tell their stories.
that's
Um,
exactly it. Yeah.
it's a lot of fun. I definitely feel a lot of connection with your story on that point. And I really wanted to talk a little bit more about what are people doing with iographers? What are some things that you've noticed? I mean, it's funny because as a concept, putting handles on an iPhone case, it's just like it was revolutionary. Everyone was like, "I've never seen this. Why would you put handles on an
Right.
iPhone case?" But the technology's come so far that people are doing incredible stuff with just their phones. You were mentioning in your book, like Olivia Wilde just shot an entire film on an iPhone.
Hmm.
There's been
Hmm.
multiple examples of people doing some really great quality stuff. The Apple ads themselves all over the
Right.
billboards will say shot on an iPhone. What are
Yeah.
some of the coolest things you've seen and worked with in your recent last couple of years that you've really been impressed with that people have pushed the boundaries with on mobile filmmaking?
I mean, it's funny because I remember starting out, and I was getting not a lot of resistance from, just more of like, why don't you use a real camera?
Right.
And I was like, okay. And it's funny because I actually, in my workshop here, I had a red Scarlett camera.
Hmm.
It sat in a box because it was just a tremendous workflow. It's not pull it out, make content, edit, done. It's like there's so much bells and whistles to it.
Right.
And I wanted to get just down into storytelling, but and I love seeing that people are able to do that now because you've got this little device in your pocket that's got 4K video. There's apps from every flavor in the world. You want to shoot black and white, you want to shoot anamorphic, you want to go live, et cetera, et cetera. It's just everything you can possibly and edit it all right there. I've seen, I mean, we some of our users, and I think I saw some of them on earlier on our feed there. But the BBC uses it and I love the BBC because they were early adopters of the iOgrapher and kind of helped me shape our store that we have now. But they do it for all kinds of coverage for sports to business shows, etc. They just find it easier to carry around products like this instead of taking all these different types of cameras. And so they're doing great. We've got sports teams like the Boston Celtics who use stuff for our gear for training for their training room, so they can
Mm.
get instant feedback and whatnot. Tons of schools across the country for live feeds, and in fact, I personally have used Wirecast for that, and we'll talk about that. But people are using it for their news teams, their video feeds for plays, et cetera, et cetera. And then getting to filmmaking, people are able to go and tell stories. There was the movie, was it 2 years ago, Tangerine, or a year and a half ago? Tangerine had won awards at the Sundance Film Festival, an iPhone movie at the Sundance Film Festival, and it ended up getting distribution, and you can actually go see it now on Apple TV in iTunes Store. It's called Tangerine. It was all shot in the 5S, not even the 6 or 7, the
Right.
5S.
The 5S.
But yeah, it's been an amazing journey to see all this.
Do you find that when filming with an iOS device, or actually, let's back up one step. So we've been talking a lot about iPhones, iPads, iOS devices, Apple devices, but I mean, are you guys specifically focused on that brand, or do you also do your cases support Android? Do you have any recommendations of iOS versus Android in terms of your filmmaking device?
Well, you're talking to an Apple snob, but who used to be a PC snob.
Mhm.
And so my wife says, "Try this," and I go, "Wow, this is kind of easier." And so I just love the way iOS stuff talks to each other. It just always seems to work fine. And so I've kind of shied away. I thought to myself, you know what? I love this workflow. There is, I don't know, 4 or 5 billion devices out there that we support, so the market's there. But then I started getting a lot of hate mail. I joke, but from Android users saying, "Don't forget us. We like this. We want to do that." So we actually have something top secret working right now that people will see later this year that I think Android users will be very happy with.
Cool.
But because I know there's, in fact, our distributor in Mexico that we're signing up with, who loves our stuff, had told me, 8 out of 10 phones down here are Android phones. They wanted to go tell stories too. So,
yeah.
I have to be with everybody, but
Yeah.
know that my first love is iOS, because it just works. Everything talks to each other. I can AirDrop files. I love the workflow of the iOS.
Yeah, so that's the next thing that I think early on, and this isn't really the case today, maybe anymore, and you can explain a little bit about what your recommended workflow is these days, but kind of when footage went into an iPhone or an iPod, it was hard to get out of an
Yeah.
iPhone or an iPod. You'd have to like sync with your iTunes account or on your computer. It was a bit of a nightmare. The file formats weren't really friendly to editors.
Mhm.
It was just a bit of a big pain. And then large, cumbersome files took forever to transfer. And then if you didn't want to use the touch edits, you were limited in terms of the types
Mhm.
of cuts and editing you could do on that device. So typically, for more serious, people, more tools, you went to a computer.
Right.
So has that changed a lot? How has that changed? What is a sort of a standard workflow for somebody who's shooting a film on their phone, and where would they go with it now? Can they just stay on there the whole time, and you can do a Sundance award-winning film all cut together on the iPad?
In theory, yes, you could, because there's some much better editors now. There are ways to get in. You can get a boom going with a nice mixer. There's a company, Samsung Tech, that's coming out with a dual wireless lavalier system that's under $250, so you can lav up your different actors and whatnot. But there's just starting to really, all these companies are starting to see that this is a real thing, and they're starting from Rode microphones to Sennheiser microphones to all these big brands, Manfrotto, all these places, and of course us. I mean, people are seeing the trend that is moving. In fact, a cousin of mine just won an award at a high school out here in filmmaking using their iOS devices, and so you see all these schools across the country using these types of devices, and they're the ones that are going to start moving up, and that they know these. They're not going to go. I get it that if you were going to make Lord of the Rings 5, you might want an Epic Red,
Mhm.
and that's great, But aside from that, just to make a nice movie. I mean, you can use them with your iOS devices, with your Android, GoPro cameras, etc. So these things are real, and I love them. As far as editing, certainly. I mean, the iPad Pros, for example, or the iPhone 7s are so powerful that you can edit completely on there. There's color correcting apps. There's a new app called LumaFusion. It's funny because I'm an Adobe education leader, and I'm very in tight with the Apple people. And I've been pounding their brains, telling them you've got to make a Final Cut Pro Lite
Hmm.
or a Premiere Pro Lite for iPad
Hmm.
or iPhone, and they're slowly understanding now. And lo and behold, this company LumaFusion came out and made this amazing editing app that's got layers.
Hmm.
I've talked to them. They're going to do some kind of transfer layers. So you want to have do some nice diffusion things or overlays, I should say, and stuff like that. I mean, it's got tracks for audio, so you can have more than one audio track. So they're getting it. So there's people out there that are starting to get it. And it's funny because I see Adobe. I said, see that thing over there? We were at a show in Amsterdam, the IBC show, and there was a company out there, and I can't for the life of me think of the name of it right now, but they had an awesome editing program that was for Android. It did green screen keying in the app and everything, and I was like, you guys need to go buy that today. Like, buy that company, and so that'll save you years of creating a new app. But anyway, but people are starting to come up with some amazing tools for all that, so you certainly could do all that. If I was going to make a feature film today, I might go. I still love to use my desktop stuff. I love that I can just press AirDrop. It's in there. I can get on Premiere Pro or Final Cut Pro, depending on what flavor of the day I want, and do an incredible edit. So you have the options. I mean, that's the thing. It's like you can do many things. If speed is of a essence to you, you're doing a news story, you can certainly do everything right there in your app and in your iPhone or iPad. If
Yeah.
you want to do a feature, maybe dive a little deeper. Maybe you need to sweeten your audio or something. So
Right.
lots of
It
options.
sounds like this is really, you're kind of a big proponent of this type of filmmaking using devices like the iRog, using your iPhone, your iPad, as long as it's just removing barriers for you. If
Yeah,
you're not telling a story because you're waiting for that perfect red camera and that $100,000 lens, yeah, those are amazing tools, and they'll do things that the phone or whatever you can screw onto the iOgrapher case will never do. But that is not the core point, right? It doesn't matter how
right.
nice your lens was. We've all seen amazingly expensive, terrible movies.
Absolutely. I mean, look at the new iPhone 7 Plus with its portrait view for stills.
Hmm.
It looks amazing. And because they have that now, the dual lens, you're going to tell me that that's not going to come to the iPad soon, and then eventually to video, and they have it all. I know that that's coming very soon.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. I mean, these devices are only getting better. They're beginning to, close the gap, so to speak, in terms of what is professional and what isn't anymore. But
right.
the point is that it just seems like if you are waiting for the perfect set of tools
Yeah,
to tell your story, then you're getting the cart before the horse. And that the
absolutely.
fact that you have a phone and it has all these great tools that are incredible and getting more incredible every day, then the only thing that you should do now is just go out and tell your story. Just do whatever it was you planned on doing in the first place.
Yeah, yeah.
That's really
I would
cool.
tell my students, unless you're going to go to USC or NYU or places that you're going to get this amazing connections with their alumni that are going to get you straight into the studios or something. Go learn how to write. Go learn English. Go communication. Tell stories. Okay, and then use your tools that you have in your pocket to practice.
Hmm.
Go out and make a little movie once a week, a little short film. Pick an idea. Get around some other people that are like that as well, creative, and just start doing stories. And that's how you're gonna get better.
Yeah.
Just over time.
Well, and then there's this idea, and again, that people are like, well, why are you putting like telephoto lenses on an iPhone? Why are you putting a really nice microphone on an iPhone? Like, you're trying to really fix up something that wasn't necessarily designed to do that in the first place. But what would you say to people, or that argument? I think it's the same thing. Like, when are you going to go use something professional? How much money are you going to spend on tricking out a phone? Is it really
Right.
worth spending a lot of money on, or should you just save that money and buy a more professional setup?
Well, I mean, you can go and pick up a Canon DSLR with some lenses for a couple of grand. Um, but once you go, but then you got to buy a microphone, and then you go shoot your stuff, and then you've got to bring that card into your computer to edit and do whatever. So, fine, go ahead and do that if you want. I can bring out my iPhone or iPad. I can slap on a wide angle, a telephoto lens. I can put on an anamorphic lens. I can do our new 12 times telephoto lens. I can use them to make my picture better. I can use an app like Filmic Pro, where I can now get, instead of the basic 30 megabits per second video file that the iPad shoots, I can push it up to 100 megabits per second, shoot in 4K. Now I can bring that into my editing thing and pan and scan and zoom and do whatever and not degrade my video. I can bring in awesome microphones, mixers, lavalier wireless mics. I can hardwire it to a boom mic if I want to do. I can do everything I ever wanted to do as a filmmaker with a tool that I have in my pocket. So why would I not want to try that? I
Mm.
mean, it's awesome.
Yeah, and I would also point out that I think that the other argument here is that you should only spend the money if you're seeing the results you want,
Yeah,
right? So that if you're, the way I like to think about it is that, you know, start with just your phone, right? And
yeah,
then when you realize it's all shaky, then go buy something to help you stabilize it. And that's not going
yep,
to cost you an arm and a leg. It'll just cost,
exactly.
it's not that expensive. Your cases are what, like $50, $60 or something?
59 bucks, and then maybe you pick up. We have a Rode makes a Rode video mic, video micro. That's 59 bucks. Now you got a shotgun mic that's going to sound great and get your audio way better.
Yeah.
So now and you don't even need to get the lenses yet. Just use those two things, have some stability, and you can start making much better quality content.
Right. And that's going to take you up notch. And then the next time you're like, I really wish we could do a boom shot or
Yep.
a jib shot or something like that. You just add as you need. And if you're really, by the end of it, you're going to realize that you only added the pieces you needed and they didn't cost you a ton of money because
Yeah.
you were using a tool that you probably already spent money on. You've already bought a phone. It already has a great camera. And then you've got all the software that people are developing for it, that it's going to only let you use that tool and go even
Oh,
further with it. So
I mean,
I'm a real
what have
fan of
you
this.
what have you had? I was thinking about a movie that I shot years ago that I did. I saw after I was at the end of working with Lifetime Television. I started to wanted to make my own movies because it was literally when Blockbuster was just buying everything they could get their hands on. And so I made this little movie called Death Click. It cost me 10 grand. We sold it for 6 figures. And I did it all myself on a little Panasonic DVX 100 camera. And, it had tapes. I would import the tapes and do all that. And I thought, God, if I had had the gear I have now, I could have had multiple angles going, bring them all into Premiere or Final Cut, right click, it'll sync them all for me. I would,
Multi-clip editing.
oh
Boom,
my
boom, boom.
God, boom,
Yeah.
boom, boom. What a better, and color grading. It would have been so awesome. So, like I said, I lived in the dark ages.
What are some of the major? Let's talk about some great tools and apps that you like to use on your iPhone, because I think people really would be curious about what you recommend, and for what. And I know you go into more detail in your book, so that's a great place to go find out about all the tools Dave talks about and recommends and why. But let's talk about just a few of your top five.
Also, I'll just point out too, if you buy the book, you need to go to registerlca.com because that is you register the book there. You get invited to a private Facebook group where I go live every Friday. People will ask questions on Monday, and by Friday, I've got them all figured out, and we go live and we discuss it. So we're always updating new apps and whatnot in there.
Oh, cool.
So I'll talk about camera apps for one thing. Now, you got your basic camera on your iPhone or iPad. And if that's all you want to use, that's fine. Do me a favor, though. Hold the button down and lock the focus. Otherwise, it's going to pulse like this,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
and it's going to drive you nuts, and everyone's going to hate it. So lock the focus. But there's Filmic Pro is my number one app that I use for filming anything. I love it. I can get 24 frames per second, up to 60 frames per second. I can change the exposure levels. They've got this amazing beta that's almost done that I can't talk about, but it's going to blow the doors off the current version, which is already good. So Filmic Pro is a great one. If you want to explore other ones, there's Gorilla Filmmaker and Mavis. So those are my three camera apps that you definitely, if anything, I recommend getting out of the Apple camera and going into like a Filmic Pro.
Hmm.
The other beauty is that Filmic Pro and Mavis, I believe, both allow you to monitor the audio. So you can buy, here's a little thing that we sell called the Rode SC6. Plugs right into your phone or your iPad, and of course you could plug it in with in the lightning jack. You could get the little adapter to work. But now I can put two lines of audio in and have headphones. So I can have two people mic,
Mm-hmm.
have headphones. I can monitor, change the levels, and now I'm getting a much better video and audio feed together.
And
So
apps like Filmic Pro, Gorilla Filmmaker, and Mavis,
Davis,
they all have great like audio interface controls where you can set levels and things like that.
you can change the gain in them. You can do all kinds of stuff. So
Cool.
highly recommend those two things. So that's we're shooting our video. When we're done with it, the editing process is amazing. I mean, I definitely love, like I said, LumaFusion. I think it's like $9. I think it's funny that people are like $9 for an app. My God! I mean,
Yeah.
let me tell you something. I paid $2,600, I think, for my first full thing of Adobe products, which was After Effects, Premiere Pro, whatever the audio and coloring and stuff like that, Photoshop, and then the next year, if I wanted another one, it was like a $900 upgrade,
Right.
or I was stuck with the old one. So don't ever gripe to me about a $9 app. So that's what I used to yell at my students for that. But for editing after the fact, check out LumaFusion. It's my number one thing. I love LumaFusion. If you don't want to do that, I mean, iMovie comes free. Certainly can do a cut on iMovie. You can export the iMovie into Final Cut Pro to do some. Even if you use that workflow, you can do stuff like that. Adobe's got a nice little app called Adobe Premiere Clip that you can do some really basic edits with it. You can bring in different assets that you want, etc. And then all of that can be uploaded to the Adobe Creative Cloud. And what's cool about that is I could do a video shoot, upload it to the Creative Cloud, give you my password and logging in. You can then bring in everything into Premiere on your end and do a bigger edit. So it's a nice workflow. A little slow right now if you're using 4K files because they're gigantic, but still works.
That's cool.
So those would be my two things to use as far as getting your movie made. That's all you need. And then there's great apps like Paper that I use for pre-visualization. I'm a big believer in going out there and at least doing some stick figures. This is my shot. This is where my guy is. This is where we go, and do stuff like that. I think I talked about it in the book, but if you go into SlideShare and look up the shooting gallery, and I believe it's John Carippo is the writer, and he made it was I stole this from him and he knows it. I took it to use for my kids every year. It's a really well done plan of showing them the different shots that are in every movie that you should be teaching people.
Right.
Wide shots, close-ups, panning shots, et cetera, et cetera. And it was a wonderful little task that I would have the kids do. So they would learn, okay, these are the shots and how to, voyeuristic shots. And
I've seen that. It's basically a project that John created.
Right.
He's another broadcasting teacher. He's great. If you guys haven't heard John Carippo, we should have him on the show sometime. He basically created a project that is almost like a checklist, almost like a scavenger hunt. You have to go through and you have to create each of the types of shots that you would see in movies that are traditionally done. And then the students have to run through it and make all the shots. And it's super fun. It teaches them how to frame things, how to set up camera shots, and then it teaches them the vocabulary of filmmaking and why certain shots are useful in certain situations.
And you know what? You can get a week out of it too if
You
you
can.
push it.
You can.
So
It's
you're
true.
like, yeah,
Some
okay,
kids are
cool.
done in a day. Some kids are done in a week. We all know that. Okay,
Those are my main. I mean,
those are your main ones. And then
shooting
we should
and
talk
editing.
about live, right? Because this is a live show. We talk
This
about
is
live
live.
streaming.
Yeah.
There are options for you. Obviously, we do the Wirecast Cam app, which is a live camera streaming app that connects with your Wirecast on your desktop. But there's also apps out there that let you go direct live from your phone or on your iPhone. There's some pretty
Oh, one
good
of them
ones
is
out
called the Wirecast Go.
there. That's true.
We'll get to that. But it's funny because let me just say that I remember the day. I think it was my second year of teaching when we had been shown this guy came and showed us this big metal box that was called a TriCaster,
Hmm.
and I was like, okay, and against all my
Your instincts are screaming, huh?
everything, I said, I don't want this. Oh, it's going to be easy. You're going to do multi-camera shoots, and little did they tell me I'd be pulling, 100 yards of cables everywhere.
Right, right.
And I have it all set up, but it's not working. Oh, you need more power than the electricity you're getting now. And anyway, long story short, it was the worst thing ever. And I remember exactly when I was introduced to Wirecast, and it was so much easier. And you guys are light years from that version nowadays. So I've just been such a big fan of you since day one of what the possibilities are.
Yeah,
You know,
we're glad to help. We're trying to continue to make people be able to use the equipment they have, right? Their
yeah,
computers, their Macs, their PCs, and to be able to do almost everything that you would see on an ESPN broadcast or a TriCaster, level type production. I'm not gonna say that we don't sell for 30,000. There's a reason TriCasters cost 30 grand, but we definitely do the best we can and empower people as much as possible. And we're only packing more and more into it. And as you know,
oh yeah,
all these gaps are closing. What
yeah,
used to be, TriCaster closed the gap between it and a professional
and a
switcher.
truck.
Yeah, truck, right? Yeah, pretty soon you had a truck. Now we're getting down to we have Wirecast on a laptop, right?
Right.
Which is amazing. It can do so much. And now we're talking about iPhones, iPads, smartphones, and what you can do on those.
Well, John, back to John Grippo again. He says, hey, because he works for Q, which is a big tech organization out here for schools in California. And he says, hey, we're doing these tech awards. We'd love to have you come and help us with them. And I'm like, yeah, John, what do you want me to do? He goes, why don't you just live stream it for us? I'm like, oh, geez, okay, let's go do it. And luckily I brought my sales girl, Amelia, who knew nothing about all this at the time. And I said, come and do this with me. You'll learn. It's simple to use. And we literally, I say in 15 minutes, we plugged into the Ethernet there. We had three angles on Wirecast Cam, and I did some quick titles, and we streamed this live show that probably would have taken hours to set up in the old days, and it was just an amazing workflow. So, if you guys out there haven't tested this out, I mean, I know there's a free trial. It's worth its weight in gold.
Yeah, so we should. There's so much more I want to talk to you about, but we're about quarter after the hour now, and I want to make sure that we're timely and we try to wrap this up and take questions as well, and also talk about the giveaway. So we
Yeah.
can definitely talk to you more, and maybe some of this will come out during the questions. If you would like to ask a question of Dave or myself, tweet at us with the hashtag WirecastLive. All one word, hashtag WirecastLive, and we will throw the questions up on the screen here for everyone to watch and see, and we'll take those. While you're doing that, if you have, there's a hashtag. While you're typing those in, let's talk about the giveaway. So, Dave, you are generous with our viewers. You have provided why don't we go through the package? A free iOgrapher
So
case.
we just launched the iPhone 7 iOgrapher. This is actually the 6 Plus. I don't have a 7 here. That's really bad about me. But it's a case like this for the iPhone 7. It comes with two lenses, a wide angle and a telephoto. Comes with our new bendy tripod.
Nice.
And if that's not enough, I give you all the instructions you need to get going fast right here.
Right. And
So
you're going to sign that copy, right?
I'm going to sign it.
You're going to sign it
to whoever the winner is.
when
Yeah.
Dave's signature is worth a ton of money in the first edition of his book.
First edition, you can sell it on eBay. It'll be great.
So, okay. And does the case handle iPhone 7 Plus and 7? Regular size?
No, 7 Plus is coming out in 2 weeks. If
2
you want
weeks.
to wait for that, I'm totally fine with that.
Okay.
And I just realized I want to throw in an accessory case so you can put it all into a little handle case and take it away.
Nice. Yeah, I actually have one of those in the studio. Actually, I think there's one behind you in the screen there. I love the cases. The little
Yeah,
Pelican case is like the coolest thing. It has everything you need. Holds your kits, holds your lenses, your microphones. You can pack up your phone, everything in there, and throw it on an airplane. You know, you're not going to hurt it. It's amazing.
right.
Okay, so free kit for iPhone 7 or iPhone 7 Plus, and as well as 2 lenses and the signed copy of Dave's book and a bendable tripod. Thank you, Dave. How do you win? So we are going to do a 24-hour contest. You can tweet at us, either at Wirecast or at Iographer, with the hashtag free Iographer. Hashtag free Iographer, one word. We will count all of those tweets, all of those entries. So the more you tweet in general, the better chances you will have. And then we will choose a random number we'll count them all up and we'll choose a random number, and that person will win the kit. And you have 24 hours starting now. So till 3:20 tomorrow, tomorrow Pacific time. Get going, go tweet at Dave, share with your friends, and that will be how you win. It's going to be pretty simple. You just need to use the hashtag free Iographer. We'll throw that on the screen in just a second.
I hear people going, I must tweet.
I must tweet. Yeah, that's just a simple way for us to keep track of who's interested and who's considered. That will also give you a chance if you're watching the show, you weren't here for the live version, we'll give you a little time to go out and possibly win that. For those of you who have more questions about where to these bundles, what types of kits Dave's company offers, and the other products they have available, where should they go, Dave?
Well, we can go to iographer.com. If you're desperately needed in a hurry, you can go to Amazon and find us. They'll do overnight shipping. And then if you need to get in touch with me, I am Iographer on every social channel, and I am the one that answers everything because I'm just a social nut.
You are. You're one of the email people that I've worked with. You get right back to me. I really appreciate that.
It's funny when I left. I mean, I'm in here at 8 in the morning. I work out 3 times a week, but other than that, I am either in here or spending time playing Minecraft with my son.
There you go. All right, so guys, if you have questions, please. There's the hashtag free Iographer. That's all capitalized for you, but of course, it doesn't matter if you capitalize or not. Just free Iographer, one word. If you have questions, tweet at us now. Dave, I am having trouble pulling up any of the comments here. So if you see anything, why don't you call them out and read them either on the Facebook or the YouTube feeds.
So John's saying he doesn't have a Twitter. What are some other options?
Just sign up.
Yeah, you know what? That is right.
If you're watching this, go sign up for Twitter. It's super easy. It's free. Twitter's not going to stop you.
How does Iographer compare to Bscript? I really didn't want to get into that.
I'm sorry. I should say tweet. You're right. That's a good point, though. You can also use the hashtag on Facebook. So you can if you leave Facebook comments with the hashtag free Iographer, we will also find those. So it doesn't matter if you're using Twitter or Facebook. It has to be one of those two, though, because we can't search YouTube yet.
How do we compare it to Bscript? Bscript, we are less expensive. We are easier to use, and I have a patent on handles. So if you see another handled case out there, we're going to come and get you.
Interesting.
So
IP.
IP, man.
That's important.
What microphone? There's a lot of echo, Kenny says. Yes, Kenny, I was using this, which is my favorite mic, but I believe that something's wrong with the USB on the iMac, so I got to get figured out what's wrong with that.
Yeah. Also, for those of you who might be watching on Periscope or YouTube, looks like the video went down, but the audio is still up on those feeds. So if you're curious why that video went out, you can head over to Facebook and watch the feed there, or you can also check the on-demand version. We do record this and we'll post it.
John was saying he has problems with microphone on Filmic Pro. Big thing to do before you do any filming is to swipe up all your apps off, restart your iPhone or iPad, then plug in the mic. Make sure that you select the mic in the Filmic Pro app, and you'll find it right there. And that should solve it all. Let's see. Really technical questions that you're going to have to answer later about Wirecast.
All right.
Let's see. What else can we say? Let's see. You guys are the best platform for live stream today. Wirecast for Mac and Windows. That's a nice one.
Oh, that was a very nice comment.
Yeah. Someone said they use vMix, but now they think Wirecast is the best.
Sweet. Convert.
Hi from Australia. I use Wirecast for sports. Absolutely. I mean, especially now that you've got, you can use your iOS devices, throw a Wirecast cam on them. If you got some strong Wi-Fi, go do it. It's awesome.
See. Yeah, if there is and I'll be covering that in the tutorial shortly. In just a moment or two, I'll be showing people how to connect your iPhone or iPad or iOS device. We don't, again, Android, we're leaving them out, but hopefully not forever. We may
coming very, very soon.
We may have some news to share on that at some point, but I can't tell you anything solid yet. But we will. I will be showing you how to do that. It's really, really simple.
For those of you who haven't tried this yet, go download this now. Wirecast Go. It is amazing, and you go live, easy to use, live to YouTube. Can't go to Facebook yet, can it?
It can go, actually, if you pay to upgrade.
Oh, okay.
And then it doesn't have Facebook's API integrated because Facebook doesn't want any other mobile apps to go straight with the API. But it will go to any RTMP destination, so you could easily point it at YouTube or Periscope if you needed to. It's pretty straightforward.
Just overlays and it's just such an easy app. I love it.
Yeah, so they designed it with simplicity in mind, and I haven't really talked about it much on this show, but I should do a whole show on it because it is a very, very cool show. Very cool app.
It's a simple app. I think to unlock it's what, like $4.99 or something like that.
Yeah, if you want to unlock it to send to any destination, it's $5.
Yeah, done. Take my money now. Pay me money. But yeah, so big fan of you guys. Amazing, love it. Keep doing what you're doing.
Well, likewise, man. We are a huge fan of the iOgrapher, and I actually have mine right here, all plugged in. I'll show you guys in a second. This is it's actually out of focus a little bit here, but this is my little bundle that Dave sent us a little while back. You'll frequently see this guy at trade shows. His is way better. We're doing a comparison here. His definitely has a cooler rig than I do. But yeah, I'm gonna spring for the orange one at some point. I need to get one of those.
I'm gonna send you the orange one. I'll send you the orange one.
Pretty rad. Okay, so if you want to win a kit without the microphone or the light, but very similar, you can tweet or comment with the hashtag #FreeIographer. If you need to find out more about Dave or what they're up to at iOgrapher, head over to iographer.com. Dave, you've been awesome. Thanks so much for coming on the show today. I really appreciate your time, and it was great to talk to you. You know so much about this stuff, and I'm sure we'll be bringing you back on because I know people are going to have more questions for you.
Anytime, Andrew. I love you guys, and I'm here for you. Check out my book on Amazon. If you buy it, please leave a comment. I love that. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Dave. I'll catch with you next time. If you want to stick around, you're welcome to kind of watch as I do this demo, but you probably already know how to do all this stuff. So we'll catch you later. All right. Care. Thanks, Dave. Well, that was Dave Basolto, the impresario of mobile filmmaking, the king of iOS device cases. He is really rocking it with the iOgrapher down there, and I really do love our iOgrapher. It's something that everyone who sees it, it's like, oh my gosh, that makes so much sense. I have particular teachers when I'm at education shows, it's really been a piece of conversation because they constantly have devices in their kids' hands and they don't know how to more easily turn them into storytelling devices. And that's exactly what Dave set out to do there. So real pleasure to talk with him, and I hope we can have him back on the show soon. Let's dive into the tutorial part of our show. I know we are going a little long here, so I want to be quick. It doesn't take long to show you this, so we should be able to do it pretty fast here. I'm going to pull up my desktop here, and I want to show you. I'm going to pull these off the screen there. I'm going to show you how to basically attach or turn your iOS, iPad, iPhone, any iOS device that can run iOS 8 or later should be able to run our free Wirecast Cam app. So if you have Wirecast, even if you have the trial version of Wirecast, you can download this app from the iOS App Store on your device, and you can connect it live to Wirecast. And now you've basically cut the cord. You don't need to have a physically attached device anymore, a physically attached capture camera through a capture card. There are advantages to those types of cameras, certainly. Dave and I talked about some of those just recently, but sometimes you just need a simple iPhone shot that you can take anywhere that your Wi-Fi signal can go. So let's show you how that works, and I'm going to cover that now. So first what I want to do is pull up a quick screen grab of the phone, and I'm going to do that by just showing you. I can actually show you in Wirecast. Right now I have my iPad mini plugged in to the Mac, and again, this works with Mac or PC. This plugged-in version doesn't. If you have to have an Apple, if you're going to physically connect the iPhone or the iPad or the iOS device to the computer. But for the purposes of just showing you what the app looks like and how it looks when we launch it, I'm just going to add that as a shot. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to choose capture devices. Let me see if I might need to reconnect the device here. Hold on. Add it. Just go in with the lightning cable. Oh, I know what's going on. I'm going to actually connect it physically in the back of the computer. So it's plugged into the charger. That's why I'm not actually plugged in. Hold on 1 second. Yep. Just throw that into the back of the computer. So again, if you have a lightning cable for your phone, you can plug it into, don't download, and see it's detected the device. So we're going to just quit that. It auto launches iTunes. But the cool thing is you should be able to pull it up directly from your thing. So here we see the iPad right here on the screen. It's now considered a system device. This works because I've physically connected the two. And again, this is Apple only. And the only reason I'm showing you this right now is so you can see what my iPad screen looks like. And we're going to, again, close that. Okay, so there it is right here. I pulled this in. You can see this is what the app looks like when you've downloaded it. It actually has the old logo, maybe because I have an older version here, but this is downloadable on the App Store now for your iPhone or iPhones. So I'm just going to launch this device, launch it. And that's going to open the iPad camera app. Now, the iPads come in a square, have a square screen, a 4x3 screen, so it's not going to appear widescreen here. So that's why you're seeing these bars on the sides. But this is all the app looks like. It's basically, you can see it's a camera. It opens the camera feed, and then it has this overlay right here where you've got sound, you've got settings. Right now, I'm actually streaming with it. That's why there's a red stop button. People think this is a record button. It's actually not a record button. It's really just a stream button. So this app does not record your anything that you film with this camera. It's really just meant to be a live stream. If you really do want to record this, then just record it in Wirecast. That's where the recording would happen. This is just to activate. So I'm actually going to turn this off for now. It's going to turn to the red record button. That basically means that the app is not streaming. It's just open on your device. You can also, of course, see the swap camera icon. So if I want to jump to the front camera, I've got it right here. And that should come through in just a second. There we go. So you can see there, and there's some pixelation going on because the iPad mini, or the iPhone, I'm sorry, the iMac mini, not iMac, Mac mini is having trouble keeping up here. Okay, so I'm going to switch the camera again. I'm going to go back here. And I'm going to go to the settings. So I'm actually going to head up to the settings here. And you'll see what basically the most important part here is there's a lot of stuff you can set. You can turn on or off the audio. You can set the resolution in terms of what your camera can support. Right now I'm just going to do the 1280-720. This is an older iPad mini. You have the ability to set the audio on and off. You have the ability to set keyframes. How often does a new frame get introduced or sent over to Wirecast? How much quality, what's the bit rate of your stream? And then finally, this IP address. This is really the most important piece when it comes to configuring Wirecast Cam with Wirecast. It needs to be on the same local network as your computer as your Wirecast computer, because that's how they talk to each other. They will actually find each other automatically using Bonjour over the network, as long as they're on the same network, the same local area network. If for some reason your computer is attached to a different router or different network, and the iPhone or the iPad is on a different Wi-Fi network, and then they can't find each other automatically, then two things are happening. One is they won't be able to connect, or you'll have to physically enter this IP address into your Wirecast computer in order to get them to connect. Make sense? So let's start. We're actually going to see if we can do this. I'm going to actually add. So the first thing is, once you make sure those settings, you can generally leave them to the defaults if you're fine with that. I'm going to hit OK. And then I want to start streaming. I'm actually going to press the stream button here. And it's going to turn into a green button. All right. And now I'm going to add, I'm actually now streaming. You can see up in the upper corner here, there is a bit rate's going, there's a recording going, and it's telling me that everything's going, that this is how long I've been streaming. So the next step then is to come in and add, and let's assume that this wasn't connected, it's just unplugged, you're just roaming around on the Wi-Fi network with your iOgrapher or with your phone. Now you need to add this camera as a source using the plus button. So we're going to go here, we're going to add a Wirecast cam source. We're just going to Wirecast cam. That's a menu option right here. That is basically saying I'm going to add a device that's using this app and streaming to Wirecast. And then it's going to either find one automatically. In general, if it doesn't, if you don't see Wirecast cam automatically, just enter the IP address that you saw on the screen. And again, that's, in my case, it's 10.0.6.134, and hit connect. And if I did it right, then they should pull in over the network. Try that again. Hit done. And if it's not working, maybe it's because I'm plugged in at the same time. We'll have to see here. You can also try using the normal latency, or if you have a problem with that. Oh, there it goes. Boom, we're in. All right, there we go. So I switched the latency. They've connected now. I hit OK. I can call this Wirecast Cam 1 or whatever if you have more than one. And now you can see I've got the two shots, actually. I've got one that is literally just the feed from Wirecast Cam, and that's widescreen. It's coming through. It looks great. The latency is super low, and I can show you guys anything. I can now. And then I've got my other feed, which I will pull down here, which is literally the app itself coming in through the iPhone. So you're actually seeing the on-screen displays here. So I've got this phone sort of, or this iPad connected in two ways. One over the Wi-Fi signal, which is the Wirecast Cam, and then I'm actually bringing it in as a screen capture tool here, because that's one of the advantages. I can show whatever's on the iPad screen by connecting a Mac to the iPad with my Lightning Bolt cable. But I'm just going to unplug this one, so it just disappears, and we can see we'll switch to the other camera. So this is going to go away, or it's going to freeze. So I just disconnected, but the app itself is still connected. So if I just scroll around, or if I change my camera angle, there you can see I'm right there. I can say hi, and I can film my whole self just doing this with the iOgrapher. And now I've basically got a mobile camera, mobile microphone. Keep in mind, I don't necessarily recommend streaming your audio over the app. We've had some mixed results with that, because what happens is if a packet gets lost or dropped on your network, it's not going to get recovered. So you may have occasional audio dropouts. You may have occasional signal dropouts if there's any interference or any packet loss on your network. This app is designed for low latency, high speed. It's not designed to go back and ask, okay, did you send me that pixel? Did you send me that pixel? Did you send me that pixel? Like, that would slow things down. You'd get more of a, and you can see there, right, there was a little bit of pixelation. So I don't necessarily, I'm kind of like Dave when it comes to this app. I think it's great. I think you could use it in professional situations occasionally, or if you really tested and tested. But if I was really, if this was, say, I was doing the Grammys or a really high profile live stream, I'm not sure I would trust this app specifically to handle a perfectly lossless signal. I would trust this app with anything that was low pressure, anything I was going to Facebook Live that I didn't need to worry too much if a dropout occurred, no big deal. We don't bill this as a professional live streaming app that you should pay money for. That's why it's free. It's just something that adds to your toolkit and can be really helpful, particularly in low pressure environments. If you're in a classroom or a studio or something where you just need an extra camera and you've got a reliable signal and your Wi-Fi and you've done this testing, 9 times out of 10 cutting to this, there's no problems. And you'll get a perfectly great signal, and you can see it's got great low latency and the quality is really good too. So it is amazing. It's an amazing, easy tool that just turns anything to wire. And I know some people who exclusively use just Wirecast Cam with Wirecast. This is just the way they like to work. This is how they produce their live shows. And so for you, for those of you who this works for, then you should do that. This is a great tool. Again, it's iOS only, and it's anything that can run iOS 8 or later. Android, we have no app for Android at this time. Okay, that's pretty much it, you guys. That's the Wirecast Cam tutorial. You can add more than one. I don't have more than one at the moment, but you would just go back again to, I'm going to turn this around again so you're not too distracted looking at my belly. So we're going to go to, click here, add another Wirecast Cam app. And you can see right here, if you don't want to select the existing one, you should go select a new one, and then you enter the IP address for that one if it's not popping up automatically. Okay, how many can you get on a network is probably the next question. Somebody's asking how many Wirecast cams can you connect at the same time. We don't have an upper limit. I've seen as many as 4, and we haven't really tested. So you may have no problems with more than that. It's just going to depend on your network. Where is the packet loss occurring? If there is packet loss, minimize that by plugging your computer into your router with a hardline connection. Then the only link that's Wi-Fi is just between the iOS device and your router. So that's really the only place packets could get lost. And then if you walk too far or walk around a corner or into a next room and the door is closed, then you might start to get some packet drops or signal loss. It really just depends. If there's a lot of other people on their cell phones, a lot of radio frequencies, those could interfere. It just depends on your environment, and it's different for everybody. All right, so let's, I think that's going to wrap it up. Again, I apologize, I can't get comments. In order to set up the Wirecast Cam tutorial, I'm not able to pull up the Facebook feed here. So I can't read comments unless they're on the Twitter feed right now. So if you do have questions, looks like Trevor in the background was answering a lot of your comments and questions. So we'll try to take those and answer those individually. But I really appreciate all of you tuning in for our episode today. So it was a great episode. I had a great time talking with Dave, showing you how to connect your Wirecast Cam app. And if you want to find out more about when we're live, you can head over to follow us on any of these platforms on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, or Periscope. We're live here every Thursday, 2:30 p.m. Pacific time. Next week, we have a great show for you. We're going to be bringing on Eric Norell from AJA Video Systems, and we're going to be talking about how to select the capture card that's right for you. So today we talked about wireless devices and cutting the cord. Next week we're going to talk about capture cards and cameras and basically corded solutions and why and how you should pick the right ones for your setup. So it should be a fun episode. Stay tuned. Join us next week for that, and I will see you back here 1 week from today. Thanks again for watching. This has been Wirecast Live. I'm Andrew Haley, your host, and I will see you next time.